Hey everybody, I've been out here for a while. Had to go for a little walk this morning. Live at the Palo Alto Baylands Nature Center, Salt Marsh. I used to work out here, so I get a lot of my samples for Micro Addict channel on here. Play like a dog on a leash, all that kind of stuff. Is first and foremost, you can see some nice haze here. But check out the Zeppelin. Airship Ventures is doing their stuff again out here at a Moffett Field. You can pay a boatload of money and fly around the whole bay doing some amazing photography and videos. A friend did it years ago. He got some pictures out of it. I never had a chance to go. They canceled it for a while and then they started up again. But there you go. And there's a bird. It's like a great egret flying right by the marsh there with the Zeppelin in the background. So this is over this way is Mount Hamilton, where Lick Observatory is, and just a bunch of other mountains in the range there. And that's where the Zeppelin's going. And across the bay, over near kind of the Fremont Niles area, actually closer to Union City, is Leslie Salt. See the giant piles of salt there? Huge white piles of salt taken right out of the bay. So that's your bearings for the place. They rebuilt the boardwalk since I worked out here. Also, as part of the flight path out here, there's a lot of airplanes out here for SFO and some other stuff in the area. So it's constant airplanes out here doing stuff. But anyway, a new boardwalk out here since I was working here. The old one was falling apart and it was closed for a good year or two as they carefully rebuilt it to keep minimum impact on the environment, since this is a nature preserve. Oh, it's right by an airport, small airport here, Palo Alto Airport. You can see the control tower over here. And I'm going to walk over by the levee that goes parallel with the runway, so you'll see that. But a bit of noise out here from the airplanes, but not too crazy. But it's a mixed use area. You got to have some allowances for stuff. So anyway, they painted the building. It used to be a beautiful natural wood color. And I guess to help preserve the wood and make it a little cooler inside potentially, even though it's already pretty cool, they gave it a light, kind of a tan beigey color to protect the wood and also give it a kind of a fresher look, because it was getting old, but it was old weathered wood, which is beautiful, like a lot of maritime stuff. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So this is the new sign they put in a few years ago, named after Lucy Evans, some major person in the city, I imagine, or a benefactor. They put some new signs out here about the San Francisco Bay. I'll talk about this as a slough, the San Francisco Bay estuary. It talks about the pipes coming in here, which are now underwater. You can see those two little dimples there, or little things peeking above the water. That's the tips of the pipes, the two pipes. So we're at high tide right now, as far as this channel is concerned. When they're exposed, it looks like that, all kinds of junk on them. Talking about bat rays around here, you can occasionally see them pop in the surface a little bit, and there are a bunch of them. Think about the hours. Dogs on leash only. So they have a doggy do bag things here, so you can pick up your own dog shit. And this is one of my favorite collection spots right here. See, there's all kinds of biologicals right there. Some algae, lots of good stuff in here. Mixed in with the pickleweed and the salt grass. And the cordgrass is actually further out. And if you walk into this mud, it's incredibly thick and deep. You can lose a shoe and actually get stuck there. If you're not strong enough to pull your leg out, you can get the suction from the mud will keep you in there. And there have been some places in, I think at Chesapeake Bay on the East Coast, northern East Coast, where the tide changes so quickly and people have gotten sucked into going clamming and stuff. They're stuck in the mud and actually have drowned because they couldn't get out in time for the tide to come up. And they drowned. It's terrible. So you can see it's high tide. Water is often not so high up here. You can go a little higher than this usually. I think I'm about halfway up this bank. It was the highest I've ever seen it. But anyway, so here's the building. Minimal hours now. They changed a lot of shit since I worked out here, unfortunately. So the public doesn't get to enjoy as much as they used to. I'm talking about some of the birds out here too. It's an American coot out there with a white bill. They're kind of what you call, birders call junk birds out here. They're all over the place. They're super common. They're kind of goofy. And they're a big nuisance on the local golf course, apparently. So, but yeah, they have a right to be here too. We'll do a quick walk around the building. Looks like there's a class out here doing a little netting of the thing to see what animals they can collect. They're using some little fish guides to see what kind of fishes they could find. This was put out here a few years before I started working out here. Nice laser cut metal great blue heron. And they have bathrooms and stuff in here. There's a tank in there that I actually made a sign for years ago. But they had some new stuff about the swallows out here. Mostly cliff swallows, but there are some barn swallows around. And they were making a big mess for years on the eaves and corners of the building. So they put these little boxes out there they can build a nest in, the clay nests or mud nests, which is nice. They actually encourage, and they put some meshing up there so they can't really do it there properly. It doesn't adhere well to the mesh, but the mud goes right nicely in those little wooden boxes. So, and you can see there's kind of years of bird shit that kind of has hit the walls. They keep it kind of natural. Another little pool I've collected many things from the micro attic channel. Really good stuff in there. And a big one over there that a lot of birds like to hang out in. There's a egret right there. It's got the black bill and yellow feet, so that's the snowy egret. Smaller than the great egret, which has yellow bill and black feet or black legs. So they have a nice little thing depicting the clapper rail here. It's one of the local endangered species that lives out here, like a little marsh chicken, and the endangered salt marsh harvest mouse. It's an actual, to scale, I think it's an actual taxidermy specimen too. And then a local crab of some kind. I forgot the crabs out here, but the little depiction of the area in a nutshell. Pretty nice. Talks about the plants in the saltwater, how pickleweed looks like little pickles and segments, and its strategy to live in salty water is to pump the salt taken into the plant to the ends of the tips of the plant, and they die from the hyper salt concentration, and they just drop off. So that's one strategy to deal with the salt. Another strategy is, do they show it here? I don't know if they show it here or not. There's a salt marsh harvest mouse depiction there. We're talking about invasive species in the bilge water of container ships, like Asiatic clams, which aren't supposed to be here. And they even have these fun little, they have binocular viewers out here, which are free. They don't charge you for them, but they also put these little tubes out, which is kind of cool to kind of give you a rough indicator where to look. You look through here and you go, oh, so that particular pool we're talking about here for this sign. So it's kind of nice. And these, I don't know who built these tables, but these have been here probably 50 years, maybe more, and they're still outside taking lots of abuse. But they were here long before I started volunteering or working out here. And they're still here. The snowy egret's getting closer. It's starting to get the breeding plumage too. You see the little tassels of feathers behind the head. It moves the head around. Those are early breeding plumage of the snowy egret. So those are the two main ones out here, snowy and great. you go to some parts of the U.S. where there's more landlocked, you'll get cattle egrets. They actually go around and follow cattle and get the bugs stirred up in the grass and things like that. I've seen other species in Africa and other places. There is a local plane. Again, like I said, lots of planes around here from this local airport. So it's noisy out here sometimes. Talk about human impact in the marsh with the PG&E towers and the PG&E catwalk, which is locked off for visitors to use. It's perpendicular to the main boardwalk out here. And back long before they rebuilt it, long before there was any real, oh, there's the Zeppelin again coming back the other way. Long before people were out here doing these modifications and there's more security out here and stuff like that, my friends and I took this boardwalk out here once, way to the end where it was actually broken off over Elkhorn Slough. Elkhorn Slough. What was it? Adobe. So Adobe Creek comes out here. I think it was part of Adobe Creek, which is about the far extent of this property. This is Adobe Creek. So we took that boardwalk all the way out there. They're scared to death we're gonna get busted by cops. This is like we're in, late high school, early college. Just, nature nerds out here wanting to see more stuff we haven't seen before. And you really got a really cool, like, rare view of some of the rest of the salt marsh from that catwalk. It's mainly meant for PG&E servicing. And you'll see as I go up the path here, it's really well secured now. Not only have cameras out here to keep an eye on things, but they've put like barbed wire and a locked gate and all that stuff around it to keep it safe. So there's the outside of the Baylands lab. I spent a lot of time in here with the microscope, showing kids all kinds of cool stuff. Inspired me to start Micro Addict, and still do it to this day when I have time. And just past that window behind a door is the office where I spent a lot of time out here talking to the public about the ecology of the area, bird watching, all kinds of like stuff. And it was probably one of my favorite jobs of all time, because look at this view. You get birds out here, you get scenery of the bay, you get cool stuff like the Zeppelin again flying by. There's the Zeppelin still going toward the bridges. First the Dumbarton Bridge, which is right there. And then you get, the next one is the San Mateo Bridge, and then the Bay Bridge, and then eventually the Golden Gate when you leave San Francisco Bay. And San Francisco's pretty much that direction. On a clear day with some altitude around here, some of these hills in the area, you can see San Francisco even from this far away. Just have to have a really clear day. And if you know San Francisco, it can be quite foggy and hazy and even cloudy. So again, high tide, so everything's got water in it, except for a couple little muddy patches there, and water under the building. So they put these little, I did a hardware jamator once just to make something different with scenery and use some bird sounds in the jam that I recorded. But they have these little rolling rails here, so birds don't perch on the wood and shit all over it. So there's nice lichens out here, but they didn't really oil these well, so they're pretty stiff. So a small bird can just sit here and still shit on everything. But the idea was they don't maintain these. When they first put them in, they're really stiff right now. When they first put them in, you barely touch them and they roll. See this bird just shitting all over them. Like right there, he just sits on there and shits on the wood. So not the most maintained thing. They should come out here and maintain it better. It talks about the Baylands again, marsh plants in their zones. Cordgrass, so you go. The cordgrass is another one. I have some pictures I put up somewhere lately. I don't know where I put those. I may put a link to them in this description when I find them again. Cordgrass also lives in the outer zone, closer to the water. So you can see there's some grassy stuff sticking out here through the pickleweed. You can zoom in a little bit here. Looks very grassy. Grows incredibly fast out here. It takes the water in and is able to extract the salt water to the upper parts of the leaves where the water basically evaporates and creates salt crystals. Salt crystals, excuse me, you can see glinting salt crystals on sometimes of the day with the right light on the cordgrass, and they just blow away in the wind or disturbance by birds or whatever. So that's how cordgrass handles its salt intake. Again, salt is very damaging to tissues no matter what plant you are. Even seaweed has to have a nice barrier to control the amount of salt. Just like, we have salty blood in our bodies. We have a certain amount of salt in our tissues, similar to saltwater concentration, but less usually. And quite a bit less actually. And to be immersed in salt water is pretty destructive. So all these plants developed all these strategies. Saltgrass, similar to cordgrass, it pumps the salt onto the leaves, you see there's some salt crystals on the leaves. There's some nice new pickleweed growth, nice and green. And certain times of year, you start seeing more of the orange thready bits. It's a parasite plant that grows on the pickleweed called dodder. There's some little threads right there. And it's orange because making chlorophyll is a very expensive process biologically. So why make it if you're not going to need it? You can be a parasite, so you can latch onto plants and like some fungi and some other things do, suck the juices out of the plant and get a free meal basically. So true parasitism. It's not benefiting the plant. It won't kill the plant in this case, but it will steal some of the plant's hard work for free, just growing on it. And basically the life cycle is it's like a bird basically. Craps it out onto the pickleweed and it grows, and you can spread like a carpet. So the right time of year, the whole area becomes orange around here when there's a dodder bloom. Right now it's just a few tiny patches of orange you can see. There's a nice chunky one over there, very bright orange. So dodder is starting to spread there, and it just grows out and carpets the area in clusters. So that's dodder. Again, absence of chlorophyll, you can see the orange. If pickleweed dies, you see the chlorophyll disappear. Just like when fall leaves change color, you're seeing the anthocyanins and the carotenoids and stuff like that. They're different colors to give you the fall leaf color because the chlorophyll stuff is gone. So chlorophyll masks all those other colors while the plant is doing its thing. And when it dies or the leaf gets ready to drop, all you see is the leftover pigments. The chlorophyll's gone. So there's a nice shot of cordgrass over there shining on the margins of that patch. Kind of like corn, just a hell of a lot smaller than corn and very, very fast growing. They've been able to measure, I think within a day or two, some significant growth in cordgrasses. Very high producer. Salt marsh is a very important part of the bay for filtering stuff. So it's nitrogen fixing, breaking down of biologicals very quickly from dead plants, dead animals, etc., and basically is a nice zone to break up salt water coming in, becoming more like brackish water where it's partially salty, and then you'll often find little streams of fresh water in the general area coming from runoff from the hills and rainwater and stuff that basically all mix, and that's why it's called an estuary. It's a mix of different water salinities essentially. And so there's cordgrass. I don't see any salt grass yet, nothing significant. I think I'll find some further out. You see the cordgrass here sticking up out of the pickleweed, which is got a little bit of salt grass in it too. And I got the kid group is coming behind me, so you're gonna hear a bunch of noise for a bit. I wasn't expecting them to come out here yet. I like that guy. Let's not intentionally annoy everybody. Oh, the Zeppelin just turned around. Now it's going back to the right again. So they added these benches out here, which were not here before. Used to be just a linear path. Now they have these like open areas where you can stand. And talk about the tides out here.
Oh look, it's telling us.
So what color is the pickleweed? Now it talks about the dodder. See how it's spelled? It's not like daughter as in son and daughter. It's D-O-D-D-E-R. And there's a nice healthy batch of it there on that stuff. And the catwalks to talk about for the thing. See the security on the catwalks now. Barbed wire, locked gate as they rebuilt these. But we walked out on these long before this was so secure and probably a lot less safe, to be honest. But back then, nobody gave a shit out here. Like here they have rails on either side for safety. There were no rails back then. It was just flat boards going all the way out there. And we were a little nervous thinking we could fall and not get hurt, but you get stuck and covered with stinky mud because the mud out here has a lot of sulfur bacteria in it. Spirilla, a bunch of other bacteria, the something called desulfovibrio. It's really stinky when you step in the mud and it exposes a patch of mud underneath. You have the instant rotten egg smell from the thing. These are kids with a different group. They're not part of the normal class. Let's see, PG&E property, no hunting, of course, and of course they prosecute you probably if you screw around out here. So they take it seriously these days. And these PG&E towers are cool. They get a lot of like peregrine falcons out here, and occasionally a golden eagle flies by. You can't miss them because they're massive. So I've seen lots of cool birds out here on the towers. They want to get a bird's eye view, literally, of the area. There are raptors out here that will hunt. There's one called a northern harrier. Has a dish, kind of a dish-like a disc face that an owl has for concentrating the sound to its ears. So when it's facing its prey on the ground, it can really zero in, just like you turn your head to find a 3D sound source, find out where it's coming from. They do it much better because they have like a parabolic facial disc, helps them focus the sound. And you can see them flying low out here. Once they're on the prowl, they kind of stay up for a while and kind of listen and watch the area, and then you'll see them start skimming low. Lots of small songbirds out here. Song sparrow, marsh sparrow. Occasionally get some golden crowned sparrows out here. Sharp-tailed sparrow, which is rare. You get the swallows out here. This is one of my favorite spots here. This little break in the ground is called Rail Alley, because a lot of the clapper rails hang out here. California clapper rails are endangered species. And they do this kick, 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 kick sound later in the day and early in the morning. They're what you call crepuscular animals a lot, which means dawn and dusk. And nighttime. They're nocturnal, they make some noise as well. I've heard them late at night when I was working in the lab, doing some microscope stuff, capturing pictures and video and stuff. After hours, I'd hear them kecking out here. So if you stand here on a good day, and you're lucky, you'll see them just wandering around through this channel. Someone did a nice little mural here. That's kind of cool, showing the crabs, leopard sharks, some of these cabezons and gobies and stuff like that are here. So there's a coot, there's a clapper rail at the top, a bat ray toward the bottom left, and pipefish, and that's a polychaete worm there, a little feathery looking thing in the mud. Some of the mussels that are out here, and the plants above the water. Very nice. You see tracks out here that talk about the footprints in the mud. They talk about gum plant, which I'll show you on the trail. Grandelia or gum plant. Some other critters out here. So there's a section of gum plant right there. Usually it's up by the trail, but it gets big and bushy enough it can hang out above the pickleweed. And it produces this latex white sap stuff around the developing flower heads. And if you break the leaves, it's also in the leaves. And so it's gum plant. So it's sticky on the outside, and when you break it, it's now you got this white, sticky, gummy stuff all over your fingers. So gum plant. Grandelia, I think it's Grandelia humilis is one of the common ones. But yeah, so here's Rail Alley, all the way to the water. Goes to the bay there. It goes all the way through here. And terminates probably somewhere either to the left or to the right. I can't remember. I don't think it goes to that far. Pool right there. And they talk about diatoms out here, the numerous single cell plants out here that have a silica shell. So if you're familiar with diatomaceous earth, they use for lots of things, including pool cleaning systems for your backyard pool. The filter system uses millions and millions and millions of diatom shells as a white powder as a filtering agent in your pool system. And so if you've seen my micro attic channel stuff, you've seen diatoms either swimming around like U-boats or submarines, really slow. They kind of pump this mucilage out of these slits in the what they call a test or a shell made of silica, so basically silicon dioxide, or otherwise known as glass. It's like a very specific structure of that, and it's of course the shells last a long time, so when you get a sample you'll always find dead diatoms as a beautiful ornate shell pattern, either like a radial symmetry like a circle, or cigar shaped, or rod shaped, or zigzaggy things. And really interesting one really interesting one aligns itself into these plates, and kind of like the old-timey ruler you carry in your pocket that folds out piece by piece by piece to form a long ruler and then folds back in. It kind of moves like that, but a little more dynamically. And I forgot the name of the damn thing, but I have a video I found in one of my old microscope streams that I never uploaded before I got the nice microscopes. I used a bolt-on iPhone on my kind of a cheapy microscope, and I got this amazing footage of one of those things unfolding and stuff. So I have to find that and post that. Just reminding myself. Again, these are not. See, this one's pretty loose. You barely touch it and it moves. The other ones are getting locked in back there for some reason. They got to fix those because they pay a little money for the rails and they're not doing their jobs. Got to lube them up. Occasionally get some high tide that brings driftwood here and then gets left behind. So nobody put that here. That got here from high tide. So that was a pretty monster tide to do that. You have these, spring tides and neap tides, if you know about the lunar cycles, and high tides and low tides and in between tides. And spring tides give you the high tides. That's when the moon is in line with the sun and either on the same side of the earth as the sun or on the other side of the earth as the sun. Those are the strongest tides, because now you have a combination of sun's pull and the moon's pull. It makes these huge high tides and low tides throughout the cycle. You get 2 a day, 2 high tides, 2 low tides every day. And then the neap tides are when the moon is like a right angle to the sun in orbit, either side. And those are the much weaker tides. They're still pretty decent, but they're not the high tides and low tides. It's not an additive effect in line. It pulls off to the side, so the tides aren't as severe. So the extreme high tides out here are great because some of the birds that normally hide and other animals get flushed. So bird watchers and nature people love coming out here at high tides to see like a black rail or some other kind of bird that's kind of skittish, doesn't come out much, or a sora, another one called sora, a very cute little rail. And they come out. And one time a group was out from Audubon Society doing a bird trip, and it was high tide. Back of that levee I walked in to the left of that building out there by the gate, and a black rail popped out right there. And like, oh my God, it's a black rail. And a great blue heron came out of nowhere, came down and gobbled it up. So here's this cute little rare bird that's an endangered species out here, pretty much. And everyone's all excited, and a great blue heron came down and ate it. It was pretty wild. That's nature for you. Another big log out here that was driftwood that got put up by the high tide. There's some more gum plant here and some dodder. You see the orange. These kids are out of control. They're out screaming out here. Occasionally you see some trash out here because people are assholes. But yeah, there's a fair amount of driftwood here just left. There's some more dodder. Right here, get a closer shot. You can see the threads. Absence of chlorophyll. Parasitic plant. More gum plant, more dodder. And there's a American white pelican. Talking about the animals that need this place. Nice little thing about climate change for all the naysayers out there. It is fucking real. Get over it. Humans are impacting the wetlands for sure. Peeps are the little baby, not baby, but tiny little shorebirds out here. Peep, 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 peep. They make a little peepee noises. Very cute. There's like a western sandpiper, least sandpiper, lots of other little sandpipers out here and similar birds. We talk about the Ohlone Indians here for a long, long time before the Spanish got here in the 1500s in droves. Talks about the different ones. Ohlone, Miwok, Costanoan Indians, or Costanoan, however you want to say it. Lots of different Indian tribes in this area, but tons throughout all of California too. Seashells were traded by the Ohlone. It was like their form of currency and also decoration. And you can see a whole shitload of seashells right here, washed up, smashed on the rocks and make a little detritus of seashells. And you see down there, it's really ground up, much finer. And up here, also washed up here from the high tide in the plants. All the mussels and abalone and other shells in the area that get smashed up through tidal action. And then looks like a tire out there. Sadly, there's garbage out here too. It's a tire. So, and then straight across the water there is East Palo Alto. There's a little wetland area over there as well, but it's a better area than it used to be. It used to be one of the murder capitals of the U.S. with lots of gang activity, and they gentrified it many years ago, but it's still not a great area, so I wouldn't be walking around the salt marsh by myself late at night unless you're prepared. I'm always prepared. Carrying some kind of protection. Not a gun, but you always got to carry some kind of a blade or knife with you or something to, just in case something gets out of hand. If someone's got a gun, you're pretty much screwed. But you know, if someone threatens you, you can basically threaten back if you have the intent. Got to protect yourself. But I still won't go mess around in places like that because you're just asking for trouble. I guess they were going to put some more signage out here, but they didn't do it yet. Still waiting for some more stuff. So there's some plastic trash out here. There's some dodder. There's a plastic bottle. An oil bottle for some asshole who changed their oil probably out here in one of the parking lots, extended parking lots out here. And then the oil bottle got in the water and washed up here. At least the cap is on it, but still, that's bullshit. More dodder. More debris, sticks and pieces of wood. But you see how it's just getting cut into over time by the tidal action. Oh, little birdie right there. Is that a white-crowned sparrow? Might be. Birds are really active out here, so you don't see them for very much. They kind of come and go, so you got to be quick when you want to catch them. I'll have to watch this video later. I didn't get a really good shot of this guy. It might be a white-crowned sparrow or a song sparrow. And of course the kids freaked it out, so it goes in the bushes. It didn't quite have the look of a wren, the bent tail of the wren. Wrens are out here too, marsh wren and stuff. And there's a butterfly over here. It was here. I think the kids scared it. The vibrations are scary, but there was a butterfly right here for a second. Oh, the bird is back up. a little quieter now. So I'll review this footage later. I actually got the two birds in the one that did. No, just the one right there. So yeah, get some bird life out here. Kids are pretty crazy out here, doing their thing. Lots of energy, nowhere to put. So now we're over the water. And I tell you, on a hot day in this area, which gets quite hot here, being the way California is, come out here on a hot day, it's almost always a little bit breezy and cool. It's one of the best natural air conditionings you can get. It's really nice. So more signage out here talking about the geological formation of the estuary around 10,000 years ago. There's the Dumbarton Bridge comment about the bridge right there. That's a rail at the bottom and cars up top. You can see little vehicles going across the top. There's a white van or truck going across right now. Pretty close by. Talks about the train bridge below it. And then Coyote Hills across the bay, which is another great place to hike. They have a little freshwater area there that has muskrats, and so you want to see a rodent that swims around and makes little homes like a beaver dam in some way or another. They're kind of fun to see. You can see great horned owls there. You see some mammals out there on the land, not just in the water. Lots of birds. Great place to hike. And it's right over there. That's just on the other side of Dumbarton Bridge. Coyote Hills. The right side has an area like this, a salt marsh, an area you can walk around, like a nature preserve kind of area. The left side is the Coyote Hills proper, where they have another park next to it, and you can hike around and see the muskrats and stuff like I was talking about. And lots of scenery, lots of vertical up and down switchbacks and stuff. You want to get some exercise. I think it's Don Edwards on the right, which is the more of a walk like this with a little bit of hills and some boardwalks and some stuff walking by the water. And on the way out there past the railroad bridge, you'll see some areas of water that are kind of reddish orange, and they're actually cultivating some algae out there, similar to what they do in Australia and some of the documentaries I've seen, where they're harvesting these algae ponds for nutrients. You can get really good vitamins and vitamin supplements out of some of these algae. I mean, I saw those even like 30 years ago, maybe more. So it's been a thing for a while. I forgot the species of algae that grow out there, but there's one predominant one that's orange. It's not green and it's not brown. It's more of an orangey color. So the whole water is orange. You can see here most of the watercolors from the sandy bottom. Some stuff on here. It's always moving a little bit. There's some wind out here. It feels really nice out here. And then we got some birds here. There's a little shore where shorebirds can do their little, the peeps can run around, do the little beep, beep, beep while they're getting some food. There's some things swimming out here. This looks like they might be northern shovelers. This birds with huge bills, look like a shovel. They have like white and brown parts and some green on the body, and then a big old bill looks like a shovel. The whitish green one is the male. The female is very brown, as usual with the ducks. The male's the ornate one. The female has to hide with the eggs and stuff in the nest, so they got to be camouflaged. So we've got some rebar down here. That's not good. And that singing is a song sparrow. That's a classic song sparrow song. Like a lot of birds, they have variation too. So you can, different areas that are on the bay, you can hear different song variations. Talk about some of the other animals here, sturgeon. Talking about depth of the estuary, 300 feet at the Golden Gate Bridge, and less than 3 feet here. Salt production, see Leslie salt across the, now they call it Cargill salt, but before it was Leslie salt. Talking about salinity of the estuary. You guys can read this, pause this and read it if you want. side of Coyote Hills one. So these are like the mini fjords here. There's a palette of fjords made out of mud and grass. And some, oh, that is a wren, I believe. Hold on. What's this little guy? That might be a marsh wren, I think. Hanging out in the water. They're very, very skittish. Oh, now it's up on the wood. Pretty cool. More birds. Here's some little peeps using the shore. Okay, just came flying in to get some action. Some kind of sandpiper. It might be a least sandpiper. You got to get binoculars to get a good view of them. Some of them have this kind of a plain breast. Some have like a wash, almost like a watercolor wash on the breast. And I think that's the least sandpiper. Has the brown wash. Some are very clean white, like on the coastline, called sanderlines. And they're really fast and fun. They have this. I think that's the one that has no rear toe on the feet. So they're just like sprinters. They run around with that. The feet move differently, so they actually are really, really fast. You see a wave come in, they run away from the wave and run back to the sand when the wave pulls out to get the goodies that got exposed, and then run back again. They're very active, very fast, very fun, called sanderlines. I'll have to do some beach stuff one of these days. Show you guys some cool beach stuff around here. I used to do that all the time, but it's been a while. Just gas is so expensive, I'm busy. So driving too much extra stuff to go to the beach is kind of expensive. Get a better close shot of these guys. So they're the peeps, twittering about, doing what they got to do, looking for little crustaceans in the mud and potential polychaete worms and other kinds of goodies. Probe that mud. Yum, yum, yum. You get copepods, amphipods, other kinds of things. It's a busy life being a shorebird. You're constantly on the move for little tiny treats, and there's only so much time in the day before you have to go roost. So they're out there busting their asses trying to get a meal. As little snacks take a long time to add up, and they're pretty fast moving birds with a high body temperature, and of course fast heart rate and all that kind of stuff. So they gotta consume a lot to not just be healthy, but just to stay alive. Fighting the elements with the body temperature, being active, running away from predators, all that stuff. It's a tough life to be a bird out here. Also have predators above you got to watch out for. Harriers. There's some foxes out here. There's a gray fox, which is native. There's a red fox introduced from Europe. I've seen both out here, but usually see them at night. They're kind of sneaky. And the big problem with clapper rails. The clapper rails basically have no easy way to defend themselves or get away quickly because they're kind of big birds. So it's a big problem out here with predation on endangered species. Place is already endangered from human population taking over the whole goddamn Bay Area. This used to be the entire bay. Salt marsh around the entire bay, pretty much. And with human encroachment, development, business parks all along these shoreways, landfill, all kinds of stuff, this pretty much destroyed most of the key areas of this, except for this one. A little bit across the East Palo Alto. There's Mountain View has one that I've been to before. You've seen that. I'll do that another time. Sunnyvale has a Baylands area. So as you keep going down around the thing, there's some stuff down in Milpitas, Alviso area. There are little segments of it, little patches, but very few contiguous ones to have any kind of species diversity or, you know, gene migration across the different areas. So you get these little populations of things, but they don't travel very much. Some of them don't anyway. And it's not good for the health of the ecosystem. It's not good for the health of the animals. Genetic diversity goes down. And they have to deal with pollution out here, runoff, and like you saw that oil bottle back there. Luckily it was closed, but it could have been open and spilled some stuff into the bay. So it's tricky out here. I didn't get this one yet. Ridgeway Trail. There's a nice shot of the clapper rail. It's a beautiful little guy. Look at that. Talk about Rail Alley here. So that's Rallus longirostrus obsoletus is the common one. There's also one called Levipes, a subspecies of Levipes. But I love the name, Rallus longirostrus obsoletus, because they are, in a way, an animal that has trouble holding on. Some might consider them obsolete. So, sad story of the environment. Here's another plane taking off over there. And you get these little flocks flying out here. I love the little flocking behaviors. Yeah, they don't last for very long, but now they're out in the water. So little clusters of birds flocking out here. It's really nice. And you get some birds on the rail sometimes too. I think this is a swallow, I think. Right there. Close as I could get with this stupid pinch zoom. I believe that's a cliff swallow. Oh, there's a barn swallow right here. They look different. Look at this one. Right on the rail. I got lucky there. Beautiful. More blue, forked tail. Similar body to the cliff swallow, but they have the big forked tail and the bright blue, or kind of almost like a royal blue color, and a lot more rusty on the body than the cliff swallows have. And the cliff swallows also have a white patch right above the bill, like on the forehead. So very nice. Got lucky here. You don't get them that close. See how it's perching on that rail? It's not moving. It's really not doing its job. But it's too much friction. Anyway, people are coming, so I'm gonna scare it away. There it goes. I was lucky. Got lucky there. Barn swallow. Yeah, the cliff swallows are the ones making the nest in the building, but they're out here too, the barn swallows. They're also on the rail over there too.
What are they called?
Barn swallows. They're barn and cliff swallows, but the barn have the more of the rusty breast, the bluish body, don't have the little white patch above on the forehead, and these also have a forked tail. So pretty nice. On the rail there, some more of them. So that was lucky. Got lucky there. No hunting and no shooting, which is funny because I've actually heard gunshots out here from East Palo Alto. So maybe no shooting in the preserve, but they do shoot nearby. Also, one asshole one night got on a motorcycle. I was here late. I was in the lab doing some stuff with microscopes, getting my catalog together for the teachers. And then I was on the internet doing a little research with some of the stuff I found. And then I was and a guy came through that gate over there on his dirt bike. It was like flying down this levee. And you can bet I got on the horn and called the police, because this is a city facility. We got the police in our back pocket, so to speak. They're not just gonna wait on something like that. That could be a nice hefty fine. Somebody riding a motorcycle through a protected area, that'd be a huge fine if they could catch them. Good news is it takes a while for them to get from here all the way down the levee, all the way to the other side. So they did have time to catch him. Although they would have to forward it to East Palo Alto Police, and they may not be very good. I don't know. Because jurisdiction, right? So. Oh, there's a salt marsh harvest mouse in the pickleweed. That's a great shot. So little. I've seen them on top of the pickleweed eating a piece of pickleweed like it was a corn on the cob. They're very, very cute. And then it talks about Bixby Park, which is just kind of a silly art installation right next to Shoreline. So let's see, where can I get a good view of it from here? So if you look over here, you can see this big monstrosity. It looks like a kind of a metal circus tent. That's one of the Google buildings out by the Google complex out by Shoreline Amphitheater. And some of the buildings to the left out here are like part of Moffett Field and stuff. But over on the right here, kind of see it a little bit. Those little pointy things sticking up. That's part of the tent structure of Shoreline Amphitheater. There's more Google buildings to the right. So they've been building a lot of shit out here for Google in Mountain View. But that Shoreline Amphitheater is right by the, not too far from the Shoreline Park. And just a little before that is the place I talked about, the Mountain View version of the Baylands. And really, really nice stuff out there. So they have concerts out there, all kinds of stuff. And it was built on landfill. So they basically, it was a garbage dump for many, many years. I even took stuff there as a kid when we did like yard work and stuff and dumped them out there. And eventually they packed it in so heavily and packed it full of dirt, and the dirt compacted everything. They could build on it. But, you know, what happens to garbage as it breaks down? Releases methane and some other good stuff, right? So they had some issues out there in early days of Shoreline on this lawn part on the upper without the seats. It's like the cheap seats way in the back of the amphitheater, where people were lighting part of the grass on fire because the gas coming out of the grass. It's kind of silly because, you know, people are going to smoke there. But yeah, so that's the local Bixby Park is in between here and Shoreline. So Bixby Park was, that's part of it right there actually. You see this little cluster of poles over there? That's called the pole field. There's this thing called the land gate and the chevrons and pole field and some other kind of silly art stuff they put out there as just kind of a way to use the land. It wasn't just like, why is this land just sitting here not being used? Some artistic people wanted to turn it into an art installation. And then they populate with wildflowers. The problem is the people who designed the place didn't give any thought to the soil in the area being too salty for the wildflowers. So for a long time, there was nothing growing out there except for the weeds that can handle it and some of the stuff that can handle this kind of soil that's out here at the Baylands. And they finally started getting some wildflowers that they kept amending the soil. So at least you get some California wildflowers mixed in with the silly art stuff. So that's Bixby Park right there. It's kind of a silly thing. And now we got some big sandpipers out here. Basically, they're called shorebirds, like yellow legs and willets and dowitchers and stuff. I think these are willets. They could be yellow legs. Oh wait, no, I see the color now. They're backlit, so it's hard to see. These are black-necked stilts. So they have black and white body markings and these bright pink legs. You just can't see the color from here because they're backlit. Those are black-necked stilts. Some other birds out here. That one's more chunky. That actually might be a willet. And there are curlews and dowitchers and godwits and all kinds of other big birds out here. You can see. So, and a lot of them breed out here. So if you come the right time of year, you can see babies and stuff. It's really nice. class is doing a little nature walk out here with the little, see the little shiny, they're carrying the little field guides, little laminated guides. And you see bikes out here that use the path. I used to take my dog out here a long time ago. Dogs loved it out here. So much stuff to see and smell, and animal activity to watch. The ears perk up, they're looking around. It's very, very cool. So, tide is still pretty high though. Some of it's gone down, but what else we got out here? Let's walk the levee for a little bit. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. You guys know that American Pie song by Don McLean? Kind of a wacky song. So they upgraded this building with a lot of solar stuff. There's solar water heating and some solar power out here as well. Make it more of a green building. Got a weather system here on the top to take readings. And they used to put a rare bird thing up here. I used to put bird sighted out here. See, it's white. Nobody does it anymore. Bird news is empty because nobody gives a shit, which pisses me off. Anyway, there are meetings out here too. Sometimes they rent the building for Bay Area bird photographers. And there's a group, the National Speleological Society, the cavers, that explore caves throughout the area. Used to have meetings out here. I used to go to all those meetings. They're free. You just hang out. There's the snow egret still prancing around. It loves this pool. See the tassel behind the head? That's a breeding plumage. Getting ready to breed, attract a mate, and all that good stuff. Wish I had more camera control on this app. All I can do is pinch zoom. Everything's automatic. Can't change the focus, can't change the exposure. Another shot of that clapperella I was talking about earlier. Talking about the swallows. You know, the insects here, they're very important for the not only the ecosystem in general, but they keep the pests down.
Okay, I have some people just walking through here, so we are going to walk to one side. There is a bird that I think had started to nest. It is super cool. I got friends that...
I know her, but she doesn't remember, the Australian lady. I actually taught a class out here when I was working out here, helping them out with identifying the microorganisms and stuff. She's nice, but she won't remember them. It was a long time ago. So here's an American avocet. These are much bigger birds. If you know the cycling company Avocet that makes speedometers and stuff for bikes, is named after these birds. They have a upturned bill, so when they feed, they kind of do this swiping behavior back and forth, looking for, again, copepods, amphipods, stuff suspended in the water. They don't dig deep like some of the other animals do in the mud. They just skim the surface. Maybe probe down a little bit. Very beautiful with the white and black thing. And then breeding plumage comes up soon. They get this kind of a rusty brown wash all over the head and body. It's really, really pretty. So this one's still not breeding plumage yet. But American avocet. And pretty much they're in Europe, they're also in Africa. So most of the major continents have these birds. There's just different names and slightly different color patterns and stuff, but same behavior. Beautiful birds. If you look carefully, you see the upturned bill at the tip. It's called recurved instead of decurved, where it goes down. And then also birds that have straight bills, no curve. Like a godwit has a straight bill. A curlew has a decurved bill. It goes down. These guys have a recurved bill. So it's just doing his little swiping movements. Swipe and walk, swipe and walk. Again, A lot of work to eat. Keep themselves healthy, stay warm in the cold weather. And since they're not nocturnal animals, they pretty much have to do what they can during the day and then sleep all night. Beautiful. American avocet. Love them birds. Here's some of the weeds that came here from Europe. Ooh, beautiful. One landed right here. Look at that. Look at that snowy egret. Beautiful. So you can see it has black legs but yellow feet, not yellow legs, but black bill. The gray egret has a yellow bill and black legs and feet. These guys have yellow feet. So you see when they pull up the leg to walk, you'll see the yellow feet. There you go. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Beautiful, majestic birds. And this one's much smaller than the gray egret. You can sometimes see them right together. Oh, now it's going to fly. Where are you going? Oh, I missed it. Anyway, nice close-up shot. So again, I collect a lot of stuff right here from my Micro Attic channel. Got a long pole, get my water sample, grab some debris, and boy, is there good stuff out here. So this is wild oats. See a little tassely plant there? That's European wild oats, a weed out here, related to the oats that you eat. There's burr clover out here. There's burr clover right there. Makes little burrs. They're kind of like Velcro that sticks to your socks and animal fur and stuff. There's crane's bill and stork's bill weeds out here with cute little flowers, but again, invasive weeds. This is the crane's bill. It has a short little cluster of these little pointy things. And as they break off and dry, they turn into a corkscrew. And what does a corkscrew do? Well, it easily twists around and wraps into animal fur and your socks and get into ears of pets and cause a lot of problems, get into your gut. There's a weed out here called ripgut. This is like one of the ripgut ones. It's a bromus. And it also has a very tough tassely bit that can break off and embed into the animal's gut and irritate the shit out of it when it eats it. Remember, it's cellulose. Unless you have special animals in your gut to help you break down cellulose, you ain't gonna. And so a lot of animals eat them, and the hard parts stay hard, and sometimes they twist and curve like this crane's bill does. There's crane's bill and stork's bill. Stork's bill has longer, more individual crane bill shaped things. I'll pick a piece of it so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's like the bill, it's like the head and bill of a crane or a stork. And when this dries, it twists into a corkscrew and allows it to do its business. Nasty stuff. There's Grandelia. More wild oats. Avena fatua. If I can get a gum plant close by, I'll show you. There's some other weeds out here. There's other weeds out here. This one's called cat's ear. Or actually, it's a relative of cat's ear. Cat's ear doesn't have the dissected leaves like that. This is wild mustard, the yellow. Another European invasive species. If their flowers are bigger and lighter colored, purple, pink, whatever, it's wild radish. There's foxtails. Looks just like a fox's tail. It's a type of barley, wild barley. And that's also nasty when it gets in some animals' guts. But it's cool because it, like a rocket, it breaks into little stages. So it comes out like this, and then you pull it, and you get little stages. So it can separate into little chunks and fly all over the place. What else we got here? Nice collection of foxtails there. Tons and tons of wild oats out here, just lining the entire area. Very high. Wind distributed, so it pays to be high. It pays to be high to get your pollen distributed and then your eventual seeds to be distributed in the wind. So having that growth pattern is very smart. There's more of this rip gut, another type of bromus. What else we got? Oh, I think I saw it on this side. This is fennel. Crush it and smell it. It's got the black licorice smell. So again, introduced plant, not a native plant. A whole bunch of it here, tassely, feathery looking stuff. There's another one here called wild hemlock, a little more fern looking feathery thing. That one is the deadly poisonous hemlock, related to the one that killed Socrates. It's also a water hemlock, cuscuta. That's really nasty. Grows in the water. People have eaten it thinking it's watercress, and it is water death, because if they don't get their stomachs pumped in time, they're pretty much toast. Got like milk thistle out here, another European native, spiky, milky looking veins on it and stuff. Kind of a nasty plant. Tons of weeds around here. This is curly dock, Rumex crispus. It's got this curly appearance. Another weed has been introduced. Likes water. There's a gum plant that's not doing so well, but you can see this part of it here. It's pretty dry here. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. Yeah, it's a gum plant. It's just a small one that's kind of dried up. Those are more healthy looking, more sticky, but they're out of my reach. But if you find a flower head, you can see the milky sap without even having to break a leaf or touch it. But I'm not seeing any right now. What else we got out here? Again, tons and tons of pickleweed. Some of it's dying back. It's getting dried out and old. Some fresher gum plant here. So the leaves themselves aren't particularly sticky, but then if you break them, you can usually get milky sap out of them, depending on how old they are. Again, gum plant all throughout here. Pickleweed, nice tall wild oats. Occasionally see wheat out here as well, Triticum aestivum. Wheat that's related to the wheat bread that you get. The wheat is also a weed in some places. This is a horehound. This is interesting. They used to make candy out of this. It's a medicinal plant called horehound. It's very strong smelling. There's a thing like turn of the 19th, 20th centuries. Yeah, probably turn of the late 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s. Very common to find this in like a sweet shop, horehound candy, especially in this area where horehound's pretty popular. But it's not a wonderful taste. It's just one of those things, old-timey things people made candy out of for some reason. But it does have medicinal value. You can read about it online. It's an interesting plant. Again, more logs brought up with the high tide. You see the exposed. Over time, you get siltation, basically a subsidence of precipitates, mud and other solids and stuff will be brought in with the water and eventually collect, just like your cholesterol deposits in your arteries if you're unhealthy. But this is a normal process here. You use siltation. It comes in, and eventually fills in and forms these little beds. This stuff was not here when I was a kid. And that center area where it's all, you know, a lower tide, it's totally exposed like that. Even at low tide, you wouldn't see that when I was a kid. This is all over the last like 30, 40 years, all this siltation. And occasionally, this is why channels and stuff have to be dredged. Naturally, they just fill in. In fact, the far channel by the parking lot when I parked and walked over here, that channel used to be a harbor. They used to have a little mini yacht harbor over there for minimal use, and it eventually got so expensive, and because this is a natural area, they didn't want to disrupt the area with dredging operations and noise and mess and stuff, and where do you put the stuff when you dredge it? So they eventually decided to stop doing it and leave it as a natural area. And so that's totally filled in over there when it's low tide, way more than this, because there's a lot more water movement through that other channel. Oh, there's the Zeppelin again, over towards San Jose. Airship Ventures flying around, taking your money. They got salt bush out here. This is interesting. So if you're into nerdy chemistry and stuff, this is a serious nitrogen fixer for the soil, meaning nitrogen is important for obviously amino acids and lots of other things in your body. And so because an amine group is NH4, right? One nitrogen, or sorry, NH3 technically, and 3 hydrogens, and then a linkage for joining to the amino acid itself. So amine groups, a lot of nitrogen. Nitrogen is very important for life, and so a lot of nitrogen comes and goes. Well, you have to fertilize your soils a lot. It gets used up and then expelled, and it's like, well, where am I going to get my nitrogen from? So some plants do nitrogen fixing naturally, where they have little nodules in the roots, or the way they store it in their tissues is different than other plants. This is one of those. This salt bush. It's Atriplex lentiformis something is a subspecies, and it's what's called a C4 plant. If you look up C4 on the internet, you want to get nerdy with chemistry. It's a nitrogen fixer. It's a really important plant for some communities. So do some more nerdy stuff for you guys. And another snow egret. Man, they're putting on a show today. Look at that. Beautiful. It's got a little island to itself here. Oh, now you get to see it fly. Fly, fly, fly. It's going too fast. There we go. So they're fairly graceful flyers. Oh, there's some ducks flying overhead. Go ducks. Can I get in the shot? And I can't. There we go. Here are the ducks. They have that really rapid wing beat. I almost talked about Elmer Fudd there. Rapid wing beat. Rapid wing beat is a dead giveaway for ducks. They fly pretty much in a straight line. They don't undulate. They don't kind of waver back and forth. They pretty much like straight lines, very fast wing beats, and a pretty good sized head. It's a dead giveaway for a duck. Because you're often not going to see the colors or patterns when they're flying. It's just too far away or too fast. Look at this giant mud flat. Holy smokes. If you stepped in that, it would go suck you right in, probably up to your knee, maybe more, with the weight, unless you wore like some equivalent of snowshoes or something, or tennis rackets on your feet. And that would be a problem. You'd lose your shoes unless you had these giant waders on. And even then it'd be hard going through there because it'd be like sloshing through and getting stuck. But you can see all the little footprints all over the place. Things are crossing it all the time, getting their food, not breaking through. This little cabbage white butterfly flying by there. Canada geese, just a couple of them. Can't miss that call anywhere. Usually I have a nice V formation flying overhead, but it's just 2 of them there. What else? More horehound. More wild mustard, the yellow. Gum plant. Big thing of horehound. There's some flowers on it. These little white flowers on the horehound. This rip gut here, this bromus. Lots of stuff out here. There's a nice shot of the milkweed. Sorry, not milkweed. Milk thistle. Very spiky, very veins of white on it, and eventually grows pretty big if you let it. Again, lots of little pools out here. I'm gonna walk for a little bit longer continuously. That's part of the reason I'm out here, is to get a little exercise. I've been sitting too much. Just keep on the move a bit. Some more dock, more horehound, more ripgut, more gum plant. Ooh, listen to the peeps out there. Whole bunch of them go beep, 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 beep. Lots of noise. I just come in here with my parabolic Sony reflector with a nice condenser mic and get some really cool isolated bird recordings. When it's really quiet, you gotta wait for the planes to die down. You gotta wait for people to stop coming by, talking, people like the guy on the bike going by, they're making noise. You get your moments and you get some really cool, clean recordings. The wind is tricky too, because the wind goes all over your recording. So you have to be careful how you place yourself, try to get a windscreen of some kind, and then just plan your recordings. You get some beautiful isolated sounds out here. What else we got out here? More of the same stuff. There's a huge wild mustard there. Look at that yellow. Holy moly. That's a big one. Very big. Nice song sparrow sounds there. Got some sirens, because hey, these Palo Altos over there. Got some weeds out here. I believe that is what is that guy? I think it's a type of oxalis. Smaller leaves than usual, but oxalis often has flowers like that. I can't remember that one too well. Sometimes you get ones that pop up once in a while. You don't see them very often. So here, big clusters of stuff that was quite busy at one time and now is dead. See, you take a dog out here, they're in heaven. There's smells everywhere, sights and sounds. There's a cabbage white butterfly. Flopping around, they're not very strong flyers. It's windy out here, so they get all floppy. Lots of horehound out here. It's very busy out here. There's a plane coming for landing. Check it out. You hear a little when the tires hit. No, not that time. Sometimes you're a little when the tires hit the tarmac. Again, just mud flats for days out here when the tide is low. Yeah, go sing, go sing. There's a guy, that's a plane spotter. See, he had chairs out here. He's got the tower radio on. He's listening to the traffic of the planes. It's a plane spotter. Those little chairs. Some people walk their dogs out here. Some people jog, ride bikes, bird watching, and you have plane spotting. Nice chunky fennel. What's out here? So this one, this tide's gone up quite a bit, and there's actually algae trapped in the pickleweed. With the algae all wrapped around the. Tell you how high the tide got here. It's crazy. You see all kinds of air bubbles in the mud flats. Lots of activity. There's worms that live in the mud, insect larvae, all kinds of stuff that live in that mud. So that's why I try to get mud samples when I'm out here too, because you find some cool stuff. Sometimes it's big stuff. You don't need a microscope, or at least maybe a dissecting scope for low power. Stuff's way too big to put under a standard microscope. Not sure what all those little dark spots are there. Interesting. I know there can be hermit crabs out here. Some of those might be hermit crabs or what's left of the hermit crab shells. They are out here. Oh, there he is. He's train spotting. He stopped to watch. Another snowy egret there. They're everywhere today. Of course, there are gulls out here too. That's why seagull is a bad name. They're not by the sea all the time. A lot of times they're inland. Garbage dumps, ponds, lakes. So I always just call them gulls. Like herring gull, Heermann's gull, California gull. The common name is generally not seagull. People just kind of collectively use that term to cover all of them. But if you look in a bird book, they're not called seagulls. They're called gulls. And then some identifier, like a person's name or a place or whatever. There you go. There's another landing. Let's do some plane spotting here. Well, one tire screech. I hear that once in a while out here. This little channel is great. My dog used to love this channel because always ducks and other things down here. Oh, that deet deet deet. Those are the the blackneck stilts. Deet deet deet. Right behind. They landed back here in this little channel behind these plants, to the right of the snowy egret. Deet 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 deet. Those are greater yellow legs. Oh, the Canada geese landed over here. There's a whole bunch of them. Excellent. They're having a rest. And swim around a little bit. I don't often see Canada geese swimming. They're either walking around or they're flying. So a whole bunch of them on the shore here. More Canada geese. And then the stuff in the middle, see the black and mostly brown and white markings. A little bit of green if you're lucky. The green head, that's the northern shoveler ducks. Big old bills look like a shovel. You see the size difference compared to the geese just over here. And then you just hear a little wee, wee, some duck quacky noise. So for the mallard ducks that are common around the world practically, mallards that wah, 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 that's the female. The male just has this kind of a whistly noise. So the male is all the colors and all the show off stuff, but the quack is actually the female. So it's funny when you see the Penguin and Batman and Burgess Meredith is going whack, 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 whack. But he's a male. The males don't quack. It's kind of funny. But hey, it's a comic book. They don't care about biology. There's some ducks flying overhead. I'm gonna go circle. Are they gonna land? Oh, they're gonna land. Yeah, they're gonna land over there. I'm gonna miss it. It's funny to watch them coming for landing. All right. And there's a little pipe over here that connects the sides. So you can see the current coming out of this pipe. They have some flood control gates, obviously, here to control what comes in and out. There's a big lever on there to open and close the gate. Right there. Oops. It got stuck. Oh, let's see if this one squeaks. Nope. Oh, here come Canada geese right overhead. Watch them land. Some honking, grunting going on there. That's a pretty cool shot. Wasn't expecting that. So those are the strays. They usually hang out in groups, so those two got isolated. So then they warn you, hey, although the runway's over there, you might get some idiot that might strafe you on this path that's parallel to the runway. There's wild radish. See the pinky whitey flowers there? Totally different texture and color of leaves, but related to wild mustard. They're the cruciferous family, related to cabbage and kale, Brussels sprouts, stuff like that. Broccoli. Used to be called crucifery because of the cross-shaped flowers. Like, see, it's 4 petals making a cross. A lot of them have the cross-shaped flowers. But they've renamed plant family names several times, but crucifery became Brassicaceae a long time ago. Like Brassica oleracea is kale, kohlrabi, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, a few other things, all bred to be different things from an original plant. Brassica, brassicacea. They usually take a genus name now to make a family name. And you got some cool stuff here, like California sagebrush. One of these convergent evolution things. It looks like its own thing. It has nothing to do with sage. The leaves don't work. It's actually in the composite family, if I remember correctly. Was Compositae, now it's Asteraceae. But the leaves and the flowers, nothing look like any kind of sage. Sage is in the mint family. It used to be called Labiatae, and now it's called, ooh, he's taking off. Up and away. Now it's called, Labiatae is now, oh man, my brain's fried. What the hell is that? Labiatae is now the mint family. Come on. It'll come to me eventually. Anyway, this is not in that group. But it smells just like sage. If you could smell this, you had smell-o-vision. This smells just like sagebrush. All kinds of different sagebrush species throughout California and everywhere else. But it is not. Yet it smells just like it. It's another convergent evolution thingy where the smells, sometimes it's a structural thing, sometimes it's a smell thing, like euphorbia, the group, the family basically Euphorbiaceae that has like poinsettia and some crown of thorns, the thing that, you know, Christ supposedly wore on his head, and all these like cactus looking things from the old world, from Africa and Madagascar and stuff like that. They look like cactus. But cactus is a New World species. Totally unrelated. That's Cactaceae, not Euphorbiaceae. And so that's convergent evolution. Totally different continents, totally different areas, but similar habitats. They get a convergent thing where they look and feel at a cursory glance to be the same group, but they're not. In this case, it smells like sage, but it's not. Big patch of wild radish, very colorful. This is the flower heads of the fennel. So it's got this kind of an umbrella structure. If you put like some cloth over that, it looked like a real umbrella. And that was, what was the original name? Umbelliferae was the original name, because this is called an umbel. The shape is called an umbel, which is like shaped kind of like the skeleton of a umbrella. Umbelliferae became, damn it. Umbelliferae is Apiaceae. So I keep hearing some little splashes. The birds keep landing over here. Very noisy. These geese are very, very noisy. This is just a random elderberry bush slash tree here. They never get very big. They call them trees, but they're more bush-like. Elderberry. You can make wine with this, of course, jam. You guys know elderberry. They have them in Europe and stuff. There's a nice shot of the shoveler with a green head. Beautiful. See the green metallic head. Brown and white markings, big black shovelly bill. And there's the female behind this one. So you can see the comparison, the male and female. She's playing looking for camouflage for the nest, and he's showy to do his best to get his mate. And there are a bunch of shovelers over here. Geese are over here preening. You know, they have to preen. They have the uropygial gland at the base of the tail. Produces oil. They go pinch it, get the oil on their bill, and then they run it through like a comb through their feathers to waterproof their feathers. Not just to look nice, because that's part of it too, but it's mainly to keep them warm and insulated so they can have a nice thermal jacket with air pockets, and the oil keeps the water out. That's killdeer. You listen carefully, you can actually hear the name of the bird in the sound. Killdeer, killdeer, killdeer. And they're very cute little, oh, ducks coming in for landing. There's some mallards. Speaking of mallards, through the fence, they got some mallards there. There's a cute little killdeer on the grass, or the dirt over here. Big sandpipers with big eyes, nice coloration. They're famous for doing the broken wing act because they nest on ground like a scrape with these eggs that are shaped a certain way. They don't roll out of the nest very easily. They kind of roll in a circle. And they have this speckle pattern on it. Looks like dirt and rocks and stuff. Oh, there goes some ducks flying by. So often they're easy to get their nest. If the camouflage trick gets ruined, they need to basically lure predators away from the nest. So they'll kind of flop around, act like they have a broken wing when predators nearby. And sometimes they'll do it when you walk by thinking you're a predator. And you can actually see them do the broken wing thing. It's pretty cool. Oh, did we get the little squeak? Nope. And some of these planes do touchdowns. They don't actually land, they touch down and take off again. Part of their training, get their license and stuff. There's a good shot of the tower. About as close as I can get to the tower on the airport. And a lot of private planes here, a lot of, Palo Alto, they got a lot of money. Costs a lot of money to store your plane here and to get the fuel for it, especially with fuel costs going up with all this war bullshit. Maintain your plane. Oh, there goes the killdeer. Beep, 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 beep. They're very cute birds. And I've got pictures and video of them at Stanford, on a big lawn by the oval. There they go. Off to the wild blue yonder. See all kinds of planes here. Some are pretty fancy, some are just your basic little planes. The geese are swimming through here. Nice little wakes. The ones up there are super noisy, walking through the bushes. It's like, what? What the hell is that? Occasionally get a really cool bird down here, especially when you see more effective when the grass is dry. There's a bird called an American bittern. And, ooh, it's an American widgeon. That's a different kind of duck. Look at this one. It's got green head, white spot on the head. Nice plumage on this one. Right, where is it? I lost it. There it is, right in the middle. American widgeon. There's also Eurasian widgeon. It's also very pretty. It's also around here sometimes. American widgeon. And the geese are just swimming by. Leisurely swim through the channel. There's an American widgeon and a pied-billed grebe right next to it. Two completely different birds swimming together. And it looks like a ruddy duck to the right. Little tiny ruddy duck. In the breeding plumage, the males get a bright baby blue bill and a dark cap on the top of the head. Very striking colors. So 3 birdies right there. American widgeon, ruddy duck, and pied-billed grebe. I think that was a ruddy duck just made that noise. I think that was a female ruddy duck. Anyway, lots of stuff to see here. I love this little channel. One of my favorite spots. It's a bit of a walk to get to it, but it's worth it. Big milk thistle, much bigger, veiny, and spiky. More elderberry. This one's seen better days. It's still got some green, but some really nice lichens growing on it. Maybe good specimens for my microscope channel. Very nice. Elderberry flowers. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberry. Good old Monty Python. Oh, white crowned sparrows. Yeah, these are cute. See little white stripes on the head, white and black stripes on the head. Hopping around. You get golden crowned sparrows too, usually like in the fall. They come through the Pacific Northwest and stuff. And there's a guy, I used to volunteer a little bit at the California Academy of Sciences, a really famous ornithologist in California. Did a lot of stuff in Baja, California, and the rest of California. And he can mimic mockingbird whistle calls and really elaborate bird calls. He's been doing it since he was a kid. It's just a natural mimic for bird calls. And if you know, trying to imitate a bird with your whistle and not having a proper voice box like a syrinx that they have and make complex sounds, he was amazing. Anyway, he could do the white-crowned sparrow variant songs and stuff because they're all different based on where you see them. And the golden-crowned sparrow, there's the American coot. Look at it walking like a football. Just got in the water. They walk like a big football. Very clumsy. Gray bird, black head, and a white bill. Related to a moorhen, gallinule, stuff like that. Anyway, he would do these amazing calls, but you know, the one I can imitate pretty easily is the golden-crowned sparrow, because they come around here like late summer, early fall, something like that, and they have this very plaintive whistle. It's like a like that, very sad whistle call, and it's even higher pitched than that. I'm having trouble hitting the higher notes today, but beautiful little sad, kind of like the mourning dove that's ooh, 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 but as a whistle. Hey, there's a white yarrow, another weed, but a beautiful one. It's called Achillea millefolium. And look at all those little folia, all those little leaves. It's not 1,000, but it's there. It's very, very teased like a fern. Well, there's also golden yarrow, grows out here, more shrubby with yellow flowers. There's fennel. Still got some green on the stalks, but the flowers are long dead. There's the bushy stuff below. Now hemlock not only has more feathery leaves, kind of like a fern, these are really teased out, almost tubular leaves, but hemlock also at the base has these purple splotches on it. So if the shape of the plant didn't get you, the leaves, the pattern, the color, even the lack of the fennel smell, you'll see the purple splotches. You know, don't eat that shit. Don't even touch it because it's poisonous. Look at this guy. Just hanging out. They often do this. They'll have like one taking a break, or two or three, whatever, and one is like on guard duty. So it's watching me big time. If I get a little closer, it'll start putting its head down and going like hissing at me and stuff. Got a few in the water here. But this one's on. This is the sentry. Oh, there's a killdeer. Look at it, so cute. I love these killdeer. See, it has these stripes on the breast, big eyes with kind of like orange color to the iris, and like a white neck, like a little white collar, and kind of rusty colors on the breast. Very, very cute. Giant. It's a bigger sandpiper, basically. Very cute. This guy's gonna keep standing guard while the other one's taking a nap. So it's a very busy little airport. Lots of planes coming and going. You can actually, when they're doing test flights and stuff, or getting there, trying to up their landing numbers and stuff as part of their training, you see them take off, go all the way around this whole area, around, and then come back down and go for a landing. But instead of landing, they'll do a touchdown and keep going. Touchdown, take off again. And you see them do that sometimes 3-4 times in a row. It's part of their training. Here's a guy coming in for a landing. Here, the engine almost cuts out when they cut the engine down so much. There's the squeak. You heard that? I've been waiting for that. The squeak. Killdeer going crazy out here. They did and killdeer, all these little noises. So there's the channel. You see how it empties out to the bay there, past that PG&E catwalk I was talking about earlier. So before they rebuilt the catwalk, it was broken right there, and you couldn't walk across that channel. We walked about as far as that, the last bit of that dirt there. That's where it broke. The original one broke off, so it's very unsafe to be out there, but we did it anyway because we're young and silly and curious about the area. So more horehound, more California sagebrush. Nice flocks coming through here. Can barely make it out. A bunch of blackbirds flocking together. That's pretty much it as far as plants to see. You see the trail goes all the way to East Palo Alto. That's what I need to do. It's kind of boring past this stage anyway. You see the plants severely drop off, and most of the birds and stuff concentrate to this area. People got their dog crap out here. Nobody picks it up. Pocket gophers out here making holes. No burrowing owls out here. They could be out here, but it's just too busy out here, and it's not really their habitat. There's a burrowing owl area over at the shoreline in Mountain View. You can probably still see them out there unless they relocated them. I can't remember. But they're kind of cool because they don't make their own burrows. They take over gopher burrows and actually live underground. So you see them fly once in a while, but they do a lot of walking and running and standing still because the camouflage is good. The guy taking off. Lots of people walking their dogs out here. This guy's still on guard duty. It's like, hey, get out of here. Anyway, I'll do it. Get my little walk in. Head back to the car. Time to get some food. Oh, another takeoff. So funny. They don't really go in that fast. It's like 90 miles an hour or something like that at the most, just to get airborne. There's a queue here. There's a couple planes waiting to take off. Busy airport. yellow plane. So it's a little fancy yellow plane. He's already pulling up. Just got started. Wow, that's a quick takeoff. He gunned it. That's funny. Wonder how many of these guys are actually commuters. It's kind of expensive to do that, but they could commute some other place that have to drive through traffic. Commute with their plane every so many days. All right, time to head back. Nice little walk. Anyone still here is a trooper. I know I tend to ramble on about all the nerdy science stuff, but it's fun for me, so hopefully you guys enjoy that to a certain extent. It's not just about scenery, it's about enjoying all the science fun. See if we get a squeak. Do we get a squeak? Yeah, a little one. Another gopher hole. Ooh, big one there. Damn. That would be a proper one for Bergen owl. Easy to get in and out of. More song sparrows in the area. So yeah, the water just seeps through. Even though there's this big levee and this berm and stuff like that, you can still get water seeping through the ground. Another one coming in for a landing. Geese are so noisy when they come for a landing. It's like, we see you, we hear you, you don't have to scream. Yeah, again, all this stuff was not like this when I used to come in here as a kid. At low tide, it was just really low water, not socked in mud like this. There was some, but not like this. It's really, really muddy. Bet you it's all gonna fill in. It'll just be mostly compacted mud and a few channels of water. I forgot there's some signs out here too. What are they talking about here? Oh, avocet. So I'll show some of the birds out here. And a hummingbird, pied-billed grebe, like I showed you earlier. American avocet with the breeding plumage wash there, some of the breeding plumage. And there are gopher snakes out here. People, they can shake their tail on the leaves and sound like a rattle sometimes, so people try to kill them, which is sad because they're harmless. Gopher snakes, just going for rodents out here and stuff. And here's talking about some of the like I was talking about before, so the wild mustard is the yellow. And the fennel is also introduced from Europe. Native plants. Good news is they don't thrive down here. They can't handle the salt. So you get a nice collection of native plants protected by their habitat pretty much until humans get involved. But the weeds have to go on the periphery where it's less salty. It's the mineral balance. It's not just salt. There's calcium, magnesium balance in the soil. That's a problem. That's one of the reasons the state rock of California is serpentinite. or serpentine. The mineral is called serpentinite. And it's this kind of greenish, more green than gray, but gray-green kind of rock. And it's supposedly related to asbestos a little bit. Kind of, it's got this fibrous section and some intrusions in it sometimes. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of it exposed at this really beautiful place called Edgewood Park. I think I've done a stream there before. I'll have to do one again. Also get really good samples from there. The moss on the trees and stuff is where I get my tardigrades. I don't find a lot of tardigrades in the water around here, although they can be, even the fresh water. But they love moss, because one of the names for tardigrade is water bear and also moss piglet, because moss is also very wet until it dries out. And then, ooh, is that Anna's swallowtail butterfly? I think it is. Or something similar. Yellow and black. Actually kind of small though. Might be a very young one, but there's a tiger swallowtail and Anna's swallowtail. And they're usually yellow and black like this. Yeah, land, come on. Land. Just land for a bit. I'm not gonna bug you. They're very skittish. Anyway, so Edgewood Park has one of the few remaining stands of serpentine grassland in this general area that's untouched. It has a trail system, it has some other stuff, but it's generally untouched, left alone. And the soil balance naturally precludes invasive species that haven't evolved in the different chemical soil balance. So the calcium magnesium balance is like reversed in the soil here versus the way it was in Europe where these plants came from. So you'll see them mostly like this on the peripheries. Occasionally they've adapted to get a little further in to where the serpentine soil is. But in general, those plants are naturally protected by the chemistry because they evolved in that condition. Whereas the European plants have been here for, 400 or 500 years or whatever. Still haven't adapted properly, slightly, but not enough to just invade like they do in a backyard or something like that. So it's another special place. Luckily, it was protected by forward-thinking people. Part of it was it had some animals that were endangered that helped protect it, because unfortunately people don't give a shit about plants. So there's a bay checker spot butterfly and San Francisco garter snake and I think one other animal were found in that area, so they helped protect the land from being another fucking golf course. Because we have plenty of golf courses around here, we don't need more. Not only are they elitist and keep people from using them, all this beautiful land, and turn into this giant garden with huge waste of water, lots of runoff from the herbicides and pesticides. And, Crystal Springs Reservoir is right by Edgewood Park. So they also convinced them we cannot have outflow from a golf course polluting that reservoir. We want that to be clean water. And a golf course not only wastes so much water, and some golf courses where it's really hot and they have to water in the hot parts of the month, they could, like 1 million gallons of water in a night, some of them. It's crazy because they're so big and they're so dry. Look at this guy. Planes mess up a bit, but beautiful song sparrow. Nice to see them singing on a perch. Occasionally you can walk by them like I just did and they don't freak out because they're used to the traffic. As soon as you stop, that's when they freak. Oh, this bike might scare them here. Oh, it didn't. Good. Do some more singing. Yeah, that was enough. He's like, I had enough. You guys are freaking me out. Cool. Got some good bird footage today. Anyway, yeah, serpentine grassland. beautiful native stand of serpentine soil, wildflowers that thrive in the area. They're special. Some rare animals in the area. Beautiful view. And it's fun stuff. I did a ecology study there for one of my class projects in college. So I spent a whole lot of time there. Had to write a paper up on it and everything. Did research, field research out there and everything. Camped out there. Spent a whole lot of time out there. It was fun. So it's nice to go visit once in a while. Still a great hiking spot. And it's multi-use. They allow bikes and hiking and horseback riding. I think technically you're not supposed to have a dog there, even on a leash, but people do anyway. And it's just a beautiful spot. Now it's noisy because Highway 280 goes right by it all day, all night. So it's not super quiet. It's kind of like this, where you have an occasional plane or loud noise from some other thing in the area, but generally somewhat peaceful. Edgewood's maybe a little quieter than that, except for some constant shh from the freeway. But occasionally, like a big truck goes vroom, or some like muscle car goes by, vroom vroom. Makes a lot of damn noise. Oh, you gonna sing some more? I see one right here. Come on, do it. Sing. Hear the killdeer in the background. Yeah, just took. Oh no, he's not still there, but not singing. Oh, my buddy just flew by, so I decided to move. All right, don't have to sing anymore. I'll give you a break. So as you can see, these places are good to get nice fresh air, cool off with the breeze, get a little exercise. Although I stop so damn much, it's not that much cardio because I'm always looking at stuff, taking pictures, recording, talking to people. So not quite a massive cardio thing, but it is fun to be out here, be in nature. And it's, you know, a couple minutes drive off the freeway and you're in this place. It's great. So we got some shovelers down here, coots, same birds from before, pretty much. These guys have long lenses here, like 500, 600mm lenses. Do lots of nature photography out here, but you can't go wrong out here. As long as you get the light angle right and the birds are present, you'll get some beautiful shots. There's one of the guys in Bay Area bird photographers is a pro and does a lot of photography out here for his calendars and his books and other publications. So the tide is still in a bit, but it's not as high as it was before. See, the pipes are slightly exposed. From before, there were very little tips of the thing. Oh, there's a cormorant over there. It's a double-crested cormorant taking off. Look at that. Don't see those very often. They're more on the coast, and some are actually in the ocean. So double-crested can be around here. On the coast, you get more brants and pelagic cormorants, and they're in the pelican group. So basically, they look like small pelicans in a way with a smaller bill. And because they don't have a preening gland, like other birds you saw around here, like the geese were preening, they basically, just like an hinga, and hinga's a relative as well, down in the tropics, and they call it snake bird, because a lot of times you see them swimming, and the body is partly submerged because they're sinking. They have to get out once in a while, open up their wings, and dry them in the sun. And then they can go out and swim again or fly or whatever, because they don't have the oil gland. So same with these guys. double-crested cormorant. And so you'll see them swimming sometimes and they're waterlogged. And this is like snake-like head sticking out of the water, thrusting forward. And so they call it, especially the anhinga, it's really dramatic. They call it the snake bird sometimes. But, yeah, interesting. In the order Pelecaniformes, one with pelicans and similar birds. Now there's a great egret. Finally got to see one before I left. Check this out. Immediately you notice a different bird than the snowy I showed you several times. Huge long neck, very graceful when they move. Big long pointy yellow bill. And they got the black legs and feet, of course. But they're just, you can't miss them. They're just majestic birds. Moving very gracefully. Often they'll freeze. And they'll just kind of wait. And they're watching the water. They have the ability to kind of polarize the water with their eyes. Like use a polarizer on a camera. They can see right through the glare. And so they're ready to pounce. And they'll stab at the water and catch the little fishies. So it's kind of far away, but that's as close as I can get. See the super long neck, big body, and you can barely make it out maybe when it turns, a long yellow bill. That's a great egret. And much like the great blue herons, which are bigger, you'll see this kink in their neck when they're at a certain angle. And that part of their cervical vertebrae has a special kind of a junction. And it allows them, when they're lunging their head forward very quickly, allows them to pivot their head at high speed and not break their necks, basically. Look at this, I got a Coast Guard helicopter or something here. Looks like Coast Guard. A kind of orangey red color. Got the big jet on it. Let them go so they can fly straight and not be tilted. And go pretty fast too. Never see this guy's land here before. That's cool. And there was a, you probably didn't hear it when I was shooting the song sparrow back there, but there was a vroom vroom of one of those racy cars that was on the tarmac, disappearing from their plane very quickly, doing some skid outs on the, they'd probably get in trouble for that, but driving like maniacs over there, tearing away from their plane. So yeah, back to the great egret. They are obviously great for the size, but they're also just great. They're just majestic, beautiful, big birds. They're really fun to watch these guys. But it's far away. Oh, he's already, that's weird. He did almost a touchdown on the tarmac, and now he's flying away that way. I've never seen him do that before either. Usually helicopters going for a landing or not, but it was like strafing the runway. Very strange. Anyway, good stuff. So the only thing you didn't get to see out here is the white pelicans and the brown pelicans. Brown pelicans more on the coast. American white pelicans are occasionally over at the shoreline area and some of the bigger waterways. For some reason they like it over there. In fact, one year is the most I've ever seen. They were collecting in huge numbers in one of these channels, and it just stunk because there's this big bird shitting everywhere, and you get downwind of him, boy, that smelled terrible. So the big beautiful white birds in the whole area stunk really badly. Here's one more view of the black-necked stilt. There's one sitting here by itself. I've seen them out here with their little chicks when it was on the mud. And I saw one time I was looking at it with my binoculars. So I'm like, there's something going on with the breast of that bird. And all of a sudden these little feet pop out. And a bunch of the chicks will hide in the breast feathers of the parent. Had like 2 or 3 chicks inside the breast feathers with the feet hanging out. And all of a sudden they popped out and started running around the thing, and then right back up to the parent again and jumped into the feathers with the feet hanging out. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I even have footage of it somewhere, but it's pretty cool. Oh, there goes the big egret. Look at him go. Very majestic. Did I miss it? Oh, it's gonna fly on top of the thing. Oh, flew over it. Changing locations. Big wingspan. Cool. Well, now we got 2 stilts. Oh, there goes the guy wiping out his car again. There you go. I've seen stilts in Africa. There's at least 1 or 2 in the European area as well. So you can, if you guys are lucky, go to your waterways where you're located. You might find some stilts where you are, local species. But this is the local one here. Blackneck stilt. There's bright pink legs, and then that white and black pattern, similar to an avocet, but with a different bill and a little more black. And then down here they have this huge parking lot area that a lot of people tend to come down here and party. They used to find drug paraphernalia down here at night, so they started closing the place much earlier at night, so they couldn't open at night. So kind of a shady element out here. There's also a boat launch out there, so you can bring a small boat or a dinghy or something and go paddle around a little bit, which I was always tempted to get some kind of canoe and take it out here, because canoeing this area would be pretty awesome. Get real close to some of the animals. So here's what I was talking about, this area that's silted in. If you can imagine, it's now overgrown so much with silt and pickleweed and stuff, it looks like it never was open. But this whole area here, from the left wall all the way to the right over here, was completely dredged out to be a channel all the way to the road back there where some of those buildings are in the distance. And you would, this little parking lot, there's a building there that looks like a boat. It's was the original Sea Scouts house. They had a Sea Scouts thing out here where you do Cub Scouts, but for maritime stuff. And then now it's the Environmental Volunteers building. They renovated the Sea Scouts house and made it into a museum and information center. Anyway, there's a parking lot there, and then there was a small harbor here, and you could launch your boat. And this actually connected over here, this channel, and you can go out to the bay and launch your boat out and fly around the bay for a while. So it's kind of cool. Palo Alto had this. I also had the airport. So you had a lot of fun little things you could do if you had extra money and wanted to explore the area. And they basically, when they voted to not dredge it anymore, this filled in so quickly. So much so that you can't even tell this was an open area all the way to the road back there. It filled in, it got plants on it, and it's pretty much impassable. It'd be impossible to get this reopened again if they wanted to. It's just so much work. So luckily they left it to nature, and this is what happens. It's a thing called succession, where basically you take like a grassland. Oh, there's a sticky monkey flower. Sorry, I'm like squirrel. Squirrel, squirrel. There's all kinds of stuff to see around here. It's a sticky monkey flower. The flower looks kind of like the face of a monkey a little bit, if you're very creative. Monkey with the big lips. And then the leaves on the bottom are very sticky. They stick to your fingers sometimes. They have like a little sap that comes out when you break them. So that's sticky monkey flower. Sticky monkey flower, not stinky. More of the salt bush as well, I was talking about before. The C4 plant. So yeah, this is what happens to succession. If you take a grassland, like for example, in Yosemite, you'll have an area that has like a meadow. So it's like a wet area with water flowing, little creeks and stuff, and kind of marshy, grassy, fresh water. Eventually it will dry up and become a grassland. And eventually the trees bushes can now spread into the area as well. And eventually a grassland becomes a forest. if the conditions are right. And that's just called succession. The area changes over a long period of time from one area to a completely different area. Just natural processes. And then here's another shot of Bixby Park over here. So again, you can see the pole field right there. Pole field. And then I forgot what the land gate is. There's some kind of notch in the land where you can stand between the land gate. And then they have these like chevron shapes on the hill. It's just a wacky art installation for the local art folks to get something. They say, you can't just have nature out here, we have to have our art sculpture shit. It's like, all right, here's Bixby Park. It kind of became a running joke for a long time, so no one really even talks about it anymore, but that's what it is. So got some nice clouds. You know, it's blue sky. We've got some beautiful cloud formations here. Got a nice chemtrail there, as people like to call it. A nice contrail for something that went by earlier. But it's a chemtrail. Watch out. And more planes flying overhead. There's a commercial plane as well as a private plane over there. And yeah, that's Palo to Baylands, everybody. So I'm going to call it here, go get some food. So if you hung in this whole time, you're a real trooper. Much appreciated. If you dropped in and said, more boring nature science shit, I get it. It's not for everybody. And considering my channel is mostly about music, I do throw a bunch of random shit up here just because it's my biggest channel. So it's just easier to put stuff here. So I will leave you with a close-up of the salt bush, which you haven't seen. It's actually got kind of a shiny crystalline bits on the leaves sometimes. The salt gets pushed out to the tissue. So that's it. Palo to Baylands. Thanks everybody. Have a good one. See you soon.